Mindful Living podcast. I'm your host, Sana, and here we explore stories and practices that invite us into deeper connection to ourselves, our spaces, the world around us, and the universe. Now, today's conversation, listeners, is one that truly blends the tangible with the intangible. We're talking about the home, not just as a physical structure, but as a reflection of our energy, emotions, and even our aesthetic desires. And listeners, joining me is Nan Krueger. She's a designer who doesn't just create beautiful interiors, she crafts spaces that nurture the soul. With a mission to design happy, holistic spaces, make design accessible, and protect our planet, Nan's work is deeply intuitive and profoundly personal. She believes that a home should align so perfectly with its people that it looks like they designed it themselves. And today we'll journey into the four levels of holistic interior design, which are aesthetic, physical, energetic, and emotional. And we'll explore how our homes can become sanctuaries that truly support every layer of our being. So, whether you are redecorating or you are simply rethinking your relationship with your space, I invite all of you to settle in and enjoy this enriching conversation. So, Nan, welcome to the show, and as always, it is such an honor to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Sona. I'm so happy to be here today.
Oh, that is so good. This particular aspect, very rarely we talk about or think about, but I, if there could be any percentage more than 100%, but I more 500% believe that the space we are in, our homes, they affect our mental wellness, our physical wellness. They affect our moods. Because after fighting, after going through all the hustle and bustle outside our homes, we come back here. We intend to release our frustration, just feel light ourselves within. We cook here. We have the one of the greatest memories here, the worst, the darkest moments lived. So homes, they are really such an integral part of our, entire kind, our entire being. So with
Yeah.
with that, I really feel it is such an important topic to talk about.
Yes, you are totally right, Sana, because, we spend a greater percentage of our lives inside in our homes, and it makes sense to me to live in a home that really resonates with you so that you are supported, um, and maybe the word is safe. I'm not sure, but so that you feel supported from the stressors of the outside world, the stressors of work and so forth. Um, so yeah, I completely agree with you that our homes need to be our sanctuaries from
Mm.
from the outside world, if you will.
Right. Yeah, yeah, true. I couldn't agree more. And then before we talk about the full levels, you know, uh, people say, or there's kind of a cultural belief here that a house is just the bricks and the walls and the, concrete and everything, but home is where you have your loved ones. But you bring the interior, the space, the colors and everything into this, equation. So, what's your opinion on that?
On house versus home,
Yes, yes.
yes. Um, yeah, again, I agree with you that the structure of the building is one thing. It houses us. It protects us from the weather. Um, hopefully, it gives enough space for us to live in. Um, and that could be that could be a warehouse. It could be an empty shop. It could be any sort of space just a physical space, but when you start to layer in your personal belongings, your personal dreams, then it starts to become a home. So, you know, I've heard of people who, like, in fact, downtown here in our town, there's
Mhm.
an old bank space that is super cool. And it was vacant for a long, long time. And then someone bought it and he turned it into his home. So he he brought in his furniture, his personal things, his everything he wanted to live with. So now the bank space that was built for, as a bank has actually become a home for him. So I think that's fantastic. And lots of people have done similar things. I've heard of people um, even turning those shipping things into homes. And it's really quite amazing if you apply yourself to a physical structure and you want it to become home, it can be.
I agree. I agree. That absolutely makes sense. And with that, Nan, let's start with the understanding the four levels. So you describe your approach as holistic, touching on four levels: physical, energetic, emotional, aesthetic. So can you walk us through what each of these levels means in the context of interior design?
Yes, yes, of course. Um, I want to start with aesthetics because that is the layer, the level that most of us are familiar with. We walk into a room and we see what's in there. We see colors, shapes, texture, pattern, and that is the first impression that we have of a space is the visual, the aesthetics. What has been intentionally placed in the room to make it look beautiful according to the person who has designed it. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I completely believe that. So one person might design a room with, I don't know, black and red, and
Mhm.
another person would design the same exact room with green and white. So
Mhm.
um, the aesthetic aspect of it for me is extremely personal because each person has a different idea of what beauty is, right? So um, it also, because it's the first impression, has the power, I believe, to invite us in or to repel us, right? Like, if a room doesn't look inviting to you, um, you're less likely to want to step in and spend time there, right? So, um, the aesthetic layer has a lot of power to begin with as a first impression. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this layer um, involves color and pattern, texture, um, all of the design elements that we use to complete a space. Yeah.
Mm, definitely. And so as you mentioned about the aesthetics, um, many of us we might focus on the color palettes or furniture or decor. Personally, I also in fact do that.
Yeah.
But how do you help clients move beyond just what looks good to what feels aligned, especially on the aesthetics level?
Yes. So the four levels of the way that I look at holistic design, for
Mhm.
me, they're separate and they also overlap. um, because all of them do need to work in sync in order to have a complete space, I believe. So
Mhm.
with the aesthetics, I work with clients to uncover colors that speak to their emotions. And I'll talk about that a little bit more on the emotional level.
Mhm.
But the client needs to be able to resonate with the colors that they're surrounding themselves with. So um, I advise people to use colors that evoke how they would like to feel, and shy away from colors that perhaps bring up difficult memories, or colors that don't excite them. So we really go for the colors that the particular client resonates with. It's not the colors that I resonate with. I don't put the things that I resonate with on my
Mhm.
clients. It has to be theirs because it's their home, and they will be spending time in this space, not me. Um, so it has to align with the person who's using the space.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, let's talk about the other levels as well. So, um, the
Yeah.
physical one, yeah, the physical one. So, what exactly, if you can share about the physical level as well.
Yes. So for me, the physical level has to do with, well, we were talking about the structure before, right? So it has to do with the size of the space, like the physical size of it, um, and what can fit
Mhm.
physically in that space. Um, and so it has to do with sizes of things.
Okay.
And also, it has to do with human physiology. So, we can place a really beautiful sofa in a room and it can fit in there beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
However, if the person sits down on it and their body does not fit the sofa, then it's no use to them. It's no good
Exactly.
for them,
Yeah.
right? So, the physical aspect also has to do with our bodies, and how does the furniture fit us? You know, how does the chair feel when you sit in it? I have some clients who the wife is very petite, and she needed a chair in their bedroom that was 16 inches above the floor and no higher, because
Mm-hmm.
she's physically small. So she couldn't manage a huge chair and a half
Oh.
a thing. So she had to fit her furniture. Her furniture had to fit her, really, is what I need to say, because we have control over the furniture that we choose, right? So it's not a matter of us physically adapting to furnishings and physical space. When we have control over it, it's
Mm-hmm.
a space adapting to our physical needs. So we are in control of that, right? So we can choose the chair that feels the best on our body, and also make sure that it fits in the space that we're intending it for, so that um, the everything works in accordance to one's body. Everything in there is functional and comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And also, so I mentioned the things that fit in the space also they need room to breathe. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't want the chair, right up against the table, right up against the window, and things squished, or just, have one thing in there and nothing else. So the furniture itself needs space to breathe and be itself. So that for me is the physical layer of designing a room.
Yeah. I absolutely go with it because personally, I'll be very frank. So I um love open space.
Mm-hmm.
less clogged and cluttered with
Right.
minimal furniture, more grounded one. I don't know why, but right from when I ever planned moving out of my parents' home or living independently, I had always dreamt about having a space, even if it's just a room, but it should be very minimalistically, spaced. It shouldn't be like I'm not even able to walk properly in that room. So
Right.
that's
Right.
true.
That's right. I love that you know that vision for yourself. That is so important um, to know that, so that you've got a goal in mind when you eventually decide to create that room in reality. I love that you have that you know that about yourself.
Yeah, because uh, I'll be very honest with the listeners and you also, Nan, that I um am an introvert person. I um very strategically travel. I do not frequently travel outside. Most of my weekends are, I what I envision is I'll be sitting in my room or my home, comfortable. I'll cook my heartwarming meal. I'll watch something, not exactly like social media and stuff, but something which, kind of nourishes my soul, or I'll listen to some, podcast or music. I'll eat my food. I'll be in my home. Yeah, that's what I look forward to. And that's why I feel the home where I'm staying, it should be physically as well as aesthetically aligned with what I envision. Yeah, of course, I will come to the energetics and the emotional aspect, but at least for the two levels, yes, this is how I envision it.
Yes, that's so beautiful. I love your description of all of the other senses that you use too. Like, you cook, and that uses the sense of taste, sense of smell, um, and the things that the chair that you sit in, this sense of touch, and what you look at, the sense of sight. And so, I love how you described that, and that is that's how I hope everybody can describe their dream room.
Oh, okay. And of course, if you can share about the energetic and the emotional, I think it's these levels, at least for me personally, they're very, very much important. I know all of the four are, but more about the energetic and emotional because I guess our listeners will be very curious to know about these two aspects, levels as well, Nan.
Yes, yes. So, um, the energetic level has to do with the doing. So, what are the tasks that are what do you want to do in the room? Like, what are the things that need to be done? So, you mentioned kitchen cooking. Obviously, in a kitchen, cooking needs to be done. Um, Preparing food, storing food, perhaps actually eating food if you have a place to eat in the kitchen. So, the energy of the doing, the actions that take place in the room. How is the room used? Um, for for say a bedroom, the energy of that room, you would want it to be calm and restful, peaceful, um, and the energy perhaps in a living space being more public could be a little more not as calming, more sort of uplifting, say, more social. And the energetic for me also, it does overlap with the emotional in the feeling. So um, the energy, the doing, and
Mhm.
the feeling of the space also really need to be in sync. Um, I've got an example. I saw a picture of a kitchen that was all of the cabinets were painted like really bright yellow. And I
Okay.
came across that picture and I went, oh my gosh, that says to me the people in there are
Uh-huh.
cooking breakfast. They're getting the juice, making the coffee. They're getting their bags ready. They're putting everything into the backpack for school. They're getting their lunches packed. Like for me, that was super energy. The bright yellow all over the space really spoke to me about like their mornings. We've got to get up, we've got to get out. um, and just that color for me was like the clue to, okay, what's happening in here. It's very energetic. Lots of people are doing lots of things all at the same time.
Mhm.
Um, that was just the impression I got from it. So,
Mhm.
yes. So with the energy and the emotion, so the feeling, how do you want the room to feel? That's the emotional section. How do you want the room to feel? And how do you want to feel in the room? So
Mhm.
that definitely overlaps with the energy.
Mhm.
So like if I want to feel calm and peaceful in my bedroom, um, I need to have the things in there that allow me to feel calm and peaceful. My book is on my side table. My reading glasses are right there. My glass of water is to hand. I've got enough pillows to lean against if I want to read in bed. Um, so that the things that you need in the space are available for the tasks that need to be done in there. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And so then the emotional part is definitely the feeling. How do you want to feel in this room? Um, I used the kitchen as the example. Do you want to
Mhm.
feel energetic? Is it a space for you that is fast and quick? You want to make dinner, you want to eat, you want to get out? Or
Mhm.
is cooking for you a very sort of luxurious experience? Do you want to spend a lot of time in there? You know, does it does it take you hours to cook a particular dish that you absolutely love? Um, so the energy, the emotion of that space for you would be very different from the emotion of the person who wants to just get in, cook, and get out. So, um, I also think that the emotional level really touches our human need for belonging.
Yeah.
So, right? So when we align the emotions that we have in the space with the things that are outside, the things that we can see in there, the furniture, the way it's arranged, we layer in the personal things like the artwork, um, other things that are, books, things that are very personal to the person, um, then that creates that sense of belonging. I belong here. Here are my things. Here are my books. Here are my records. And surrounding oneself with those personal items really gives that sense of belonging.
Mm. So, but uh, how do you differentiate, Nan? Because some might argue here that, and this, in fact, sometimes I share with my parents because we kind of keep on, moving houses.
Yes.
So some might argue that emotional attachment to spaces or objects, it could prevent growth, like just
Mm.
that attachment to the past. So, how do you differentiate between honoring a client's life story and also encouraging them to make space for their future?
Mm. Oh, I love that question. Um, we go through the pieces in the space, and one by one, we will decide, you know, how does this item make you feel? How do you use this item? Or is it just sitting in the corner because it has no other place to be? Um, are you attached to a particular thing because it brings you really nice memories? Or is the object in the space, um, and you have completely forgotten about it. You never use it, so you don't see it. So we go through each item in that way. Which one is really super important to you? Do you want to use this table? Yes, I want to use this table because my grandmother used it. So that's wonderful. So let's build around that. Um, what about this painting? Um, maybe the painting has lost its meaning for you. So let's take that down and let's find a different artwork to put up in its place. So it really, really has to do with where the client is at in their life today, on the day that we do that. And it's not about my saying to them, well, if you don't use this table, then we've got to, throw it away. No, perhaps we use the table in a different room. We take it out of that space, we put it in a different place and use it some more in a different setting. So it's not about getting rid of things per se. It's about using the things that are in the room that you really, really want in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, great, great. So before we wrap, our listeners would like to connect with you. What's the best way to do that?
Okay. Um, the name of my business is Groovy Home,
Mhm.
and the URL for my website is mygroovyhome.com. And I'd love to direct people to my quiz page. So that would be mygroovyhome.com/quiz. And I've got 3 quizzes on that page that you can take. One is, what is your interior design archetype? That tells you personally about what your aesthetics are. And the other one is, what type of designer do you need? If you're thinking about hiring a designer, um, designers work in several different ways. So this quiz lets the person decide, okay, this is really the direction I need to go in.
Mm.
And then I have a color mixer quiz, which gives color palettes and suggestions on how to use the colors. So, and all of the quizzes are free. You can take them as many times as you want, or not at all. Just explore the website. I've got a blog that you can read also. So there's lots of stuff to do in there.
Lovely, lovely. I have all the links and details in the show notes. And Nan, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful, mindful approach and wisdom with us today. I mean, definitely, it uh, definitely reignited that spark within me to rethink
Oh,
about all, everything, anything in my room or in my home. And it's such a reminder that our homes aren't just backdrops to our lives. They are active participants in our well-being. So thank you so much.
you are so welcome, Sana. I love talking to you. This was great.
And to all of my mindful listeners out there, if you're inspired to reimagine your space, I hope this conversation encourages you to think beyond the surface and really feel into what your home is saying to you. So just refer to the show notes along with this episode on your favorite podcast platform. Connect with Nan. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share it with someone who is dreaming of a space that truly feels like home. And as always, stay connected and stay mindful. Thank you.